Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt blasted a New York Times reporter for a story she wrote about President Trump's health, pointing out how the same reporter covered for Joe Biden during his 4 miserable years in office. We have the latest on this breaking story. 2 of the most powerful entities in the federal government, the House Oversight Committee and the U.S. Treasury Department, have officially launched investigations into Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's role in what may be the largest COVID-era fraud scheme in our country's history. And Portland, Oregon is under fire again for hosting its annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. But actually, it wasn't a Christmas tree because they refused to allow the word Christmas to be included. It was promoted as a tree lighting. Oh, and there were some local leaders of the event waving a Palestinian flag while leading the crowd in chants. Not even I could make this up. And if you're planning to travel, you better have your real ID or it's going to cost you. We have the details on the newest enforcement efforts of TSA as the Real ID law finally takes effect.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
The White House briefing room got a little spicy yesterday. Did you see any of this? Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, who I've got to say has quickly become one of the most effective, no-nonsense communicators we've seen behind that podium. Absolutely. She absolutely unloaded on the New York Times over their latest "Is Trump Too Old" narrative. So here's what set her off. Last week, the Times ran a story claiming that President Trump, who's now 79 years old, is, quote, slowing down, even nodding off in the Oval Office, according to the report, and supposedly doing fewer events than he did in his first term. And Leavitt was having none of it. She took the mic and called the New York Times reporter out in front of all of her colleagues. Here's the exchange.
And I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false. And it's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock. Another one. Biden declared, quote, healthy and vigorous after his first presidential physical. I don't see headlines like that too often about this president. Again, same reporter, same outlet who wrote falsely over the weekend that President Trump is not fit for the job. I can assure you he absolutely is. You all see that with your own eyes on a daily basis, and the president's physician has now given you all 3 detailed reports on the state of the president's health. So with that, I will leave you all and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
And out the door she went, leaving some of the press stunned. And by the way, she announced they have this new website to where they're going to be calling out more instances like this New York Times. So you got to know that everybody in that room yesterday is thinking, I may be next. Wow. Folks, she didn't stop there. She said, are you kidding me? And it's a valid question. Are they kidding us? Honestly, every person watching at home probably asked the same thing. Because let's be real. We watched for 3 straight years as the national press tiptoed around Biden's decline, maybe even 4. I mean, we saw a big decline going into his second year in office. We knew something was wrong. The confusion, the wandering off stage, the mumbling, the teleprompter freezes, while anyone who dared mention it was labeled a conspiracy theorist. Then the second Trump sits down for a routine physical, the media acts like he's 3 minutes from being wheeled away into hospice. And here's the kicker. That same New York Times reporter, Katie Rogers is her name, also co-wrote an article last year acknowledging Biden's increasingly common and worrisome lapses. So clearly she knows how to cover age and fitness honestly. She just chooses not to when Donald Trump is involved. Meanwhile, Ms. Leavitt reminded the entire press corps, you all see him almost every single day. He's the most successful president in history, and she's right. He is. There's no hiding in the White House like Joe Biden did for almost 4 years. He's there out in plain sight, having meetings in the Oval Office, having meetings with his department heads, talking with the press as he's boarding Marine One and Air Force One. Joe Biden never did any of that. Now, the man is constantly, Donald Trump that is, in front of a camera, constantly taking questions, holding rallies, meeting world leaders, negotiating legislation, even flying from East Coast to West Coast and back in the same day, like he's in his 40s. Look, I couldn't even keep up with Donald Trump's schedule, his travel schedule. Of course, I'm no young chick anyway, by the way, and I digress. I got my Medicare card yesterday. Now, that is a milestone. That made me pause. As I'm looking at that card, I just remember, my grandparents and my parents. The Medicare card was an important thing. Well, I got mine yesterday. More on that a little bit later. I shouldn't have told you. So back to Trump and this MRI. The White House released the memo yesterday after much pressure. And they've been saying all along, and the president had said, hey, we'll give it to you. It turned out to be perfectly normal, preventative, nothing wrong. Just a case of the White House physician wanting to cover all bases. It's just smart health care for a man with one of the most demanding jobs on earth. But here's why this matters. This is the opening salvo in a new media storyline. A storyline built not on facts, but on the hope that if they repeat something long enough, you know how the press likes to do that, the public will start to believe it. So if they write it enough, if it's the headlines enough, if you see it on on CNN enough and MSNBC that, the president's slowing down. He hasn't had as many public events that he had when he was president in the first term. People are going to start believing it. I mean, we've seen this movie before. 2016, they said he was unstable. 2020, they said he was unfit. 2024, he's a dictator. 2025, well, maybe he's just a little sleepy. But yet, they allowed Joe Biden to go unscathed. They ignored Joe Biden, and he was really, really suffering from dementia. So when all else fails, the left always reaches for that same playbook. I mean, we can almost predict it. If you can't beat Trump on policy, if you can't beat him on character, if you can't beat him on results, then try to convince Americans that he's broken somehow, that he's physically broken, that he's mentally broken. Except the man just keeps proving the opposite. He keeps coming back stronger than ever. And that's why you saw Leavitt come out swinging yesterday. She knows this is how it starts, with a whisper campaign, dressed up as journalism, as an investigative reporter. Oh, gosh, we're going to uncover this. We got a man who's dangerous. He's not well. He's not healthy, and he's the leader of the free world. We got to do something about this, folks. Yet they just turned a blind eye to Joe Biden, who really was all of that. And if the White House doesn't push back early, it becomes a storyline for the next 6 months or a year or maybe 3 years. So, folks, we're going to watch this one. It's not about age. It's not about narrative warfare. This administration is refusing to play defense, and Karoline Leavitt went on offense yesterday. And I'm going to say, the points go to the Trump team. Now, we'll see what the media comes out with next, but Karoline Leavitt won that one. Everyone says they'll start after the holidays, and that's exactly why most people never tackle those extra pounds at all. Joey Hudson here. Right now, PhD Weight Loss is making it easy to start before the new year with a bonus designed to get you moving now. They're adding 2 free weeks to your program. That means you can ramp up during the holidays and start the new year already working toward your goals. Those 2 free weeks mean you won't roll into January feeling behind. You'll hit January already losing, already feeling better, already in control. PhD's metabolic reset system teaches your body to burn fat first. No drugs, no starvation diets, no endless workouts, just a smarter science-based system that fits real life. And when you mention 2 weeks on the phone, they'll waive your consultation fee and pay for the cost of your food during the entire program. There's no reason to wait, no reason to repeat last year. Call PhD Weight Loss today and start 2026 already ahead. 864-644-1900. Call today. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Don't wait. Do it today. Hey, you may want to grab another cup of coffee for this next story. Portland, Oregon is in the headlines again. And as always, it's never good when it comes out of Portland, Oregon. Those folks are just nuts. It's one of those you can't make this up moments that somehow always comes out of the Pacific Northwest. So here's the story. Picture this. Portland holds its big annual Christmas tree lighting. Thousands of people show up. The whole square is lit up in 9,500 LED lights. Santa's there. Music's playing. Everything looks like the start of a Hallmark movie. There's just one teeny tiny detail missing. Christmas. They forgot Christmas. They don't mention the word Christmas. No joke. The city's official accounts advertised the whole event as Portland's 41st annual tree lighting ceremony. They didn't say Christmas tree. They said tree lighting ceremony, as if you just light up trees any time of the year. Not a Christmas tree, not a holiday tree, just the tree. I guess at this point, they're afraid to say the C word in public, huh? And this wasn't an accident. People dug back through the city's calendar. Portland hasn't used the word Christmas for this event in a few years now. They've been tiptoeing around it like it's radioactive. But here's where it gets very Portland. Before Santa flips the switch, before the big moment, organizers hand the microphone to a woman waving a Palestinian flag, who then leads the crowd in shouting, "Free, free, free Palestine." Wow. As a Christmas tree lighting is taking place. Then she and a group of indigenous performers break into a chant. Nothing wrong with honoring cultures, but again, context matters, doesn't it? Families show up expecting Christmas carols and cocoa. Instead, they got a political rally. And let me tell you, Portlanders noticed. One local journalist wrote, they call it the tree because they despise Christians so much they can't bring themselves to say Christmas. Others said bluntly, they're trying to take the Christmas out of the Christmas tree. Of course they are. They don't want any part of Christmas because they don't want any part of Christianity. Even community journalism outlets said the event felt hijacked. Too much ideology, not enough unity. And look, I'm not shocked that a handful of activists used the moment to push messaging. That's become the norm in so many cities like Portland. But what truly bothered people was the city's refusal to name the holiday at all. I mean, you can deck a tree in lights. You can bring in Santa Claus. You can hang ornaments, play music, sip cider. But the moment you can't say Christmas, it starts to feel like you're trying to please everybody by pleasing nobody, right? Now, in fairness, Portland's mayor did call it a Christmas tree lighting when pressed by reporters. But it was after being pressed by reporters. The city's social media, the event organizers, local outlets, many of them carefully avoided the word altogether. Like Christmas is offensive. Like Christmas is controversial. Like the entire country hasn't called this a Christmas tree for, I don't know, a few hundred years maybe. And here's the thing. Christmas is a federal holiday. You don't have to be a Christian to enjoy it. Plenty of Americans simply see it as a cultural celebration. But stripping the name off the event doesn't make the city more inclusive. It just alienates the families who showed up to celebrate something that's been part of our shared heritage for a long, long time. Meanwhile, and this is the irony, the same event that refuses to say Christmas somehow had no problem letting a political chant echo across the square. Imagine if the reverse happened. Imagine a conservative group grabbing the mic at a city-sponsored event and led the crowd in a chant about border security, for example. Portland officials would have shut the lights off before the second syllable. You know, they would, wouldn't they? They would have never have allowed that, but yet they let these activists chant these pro-Palestinian chants. Am I overreacting here? Or do you see the real problem here too? I mean, are you as surprised as I am that even Portland can't call a Christmas tree lighting what it is? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY. By the way, when you go to mypillow.com, always use promo code Joey to get those Christmas specials. And boy, Mike Lindell has a ton of great buys on the website right now. So go to mypillow.com and just click on the radio button, and you'll see deals like the 6-piece towel set that I keep talking to you about, because, folks, you'll love these towels. You get 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths. They're regularly $69.98. When you use promo code Joey, you're going to get them for $39.98. And all you have to do is put promo code Joey when you go to checkout. You can call them as well, 800-893-4059. Have your credit card ready, and be sure and let the operator know that you want the Joey special as well, that you're stocking up for Christmas. Oh, am I allowed to say Christmas? Am I allowed to say Christmas shopping? Oh boy. Here's what you can't do. You can't erase a holiday. You don't turn something joyful like a Christmas tree lighting into a political stage. Not even Portland, Oregon should be allowed to do that. Let Christmas be Christmas. Let everyone enjoy it. Let the kids who showed up with their families, who just loved the sight of a huge Christmas tree, let them enjoy what they went there to enjoy. Because the moment that we can't say the word Christmas, that's a horrible time, is it not? That is failure, even for Portland, Oregon, even for a city that has lost its way as badly as Portland has. Surely they can see the merit in celebrating Christmas. I mean, again, I get back to, who's ever heard of a tree lighting? Like people just show up to put lights in a tree. It is a Christmas tree. Always has been. Always will be. And it's the sooner that officials, not just in Portland, but anywhere, all around the country, recognize that and acknowledge that, we're all going to be better off. It is a Christmas tree, and it was a Christmas tree lighting. It's just that simple, folks. On the text line, Faye writes, Joey, one of your listeners said he wasn't going to vote again. I'm begging folks not to do that. The reason Mondami won in New York is because American-born voters did not vote. Mamdani was elected by foreign-born voters, and a new poll for right now indicates that 51% of young voters want a communist government in 2028. Heaven help us. We can stop this if we make real effort and go vote. You're right, Faye, and I said that at the time. I think it was my buddy Tony who said that, if I remember correctly. Tony said he's just so frustrated he's going to give up. He's just going to stop voting because his vote doesn't count. Every vote counts. Thank you for your text, Faye. The story out of Minnesota keeps growing every day because what we're looking at here is not just another case of government waste. This is a massive fraud scandal shaking the political ground under Governor Tim Walz. And now, two of the most powerful entities in the federal government, the House Oversight Committee and the U.S. Treasury Department, have officially launched investigations into Walz's role in what may be the largest COVID-era fraud scheme in America. And folks, the numbers here, they're jaw-dropping. They're amazing. More than $1 billion, with a B, stolen from a program that was supposed to feed kids during the pandemic. Money meant for children. And prosecutors say that instead it ended up in luxury homes, fancy cars, overseas real estate deals, even according to investigators, flowing to al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia. Funding terrorists with COVID money. So what happened? A Minnesota nonprofit called Feeding Our Future was supposed to distribute food to aid low-income kids. Instead, prosecutors say they created fake meal sites, fake invoices, fake attendance sheets, and then funneled money to themselves and their friends. 78 people charged. 59 have been convicted. Lavish homes purchased abroad. Millions moved out of the country. And the big question is, how did this go on for so long? Right under the nose of the state's highest officials. Wow. Tim Walz, House Oversight Chairman James Comer, did not mince words, saying that Walz failed to act after repeated warnings. He told the New York Post, Governor Walz was warned about massive fraud, and he failed to act. Whistleblowers were retaliated against. Because of Governor Walz's negligence, criminals, including Somali terrorists, stole nearly $1 billion. Representative Comer says his committee is now launching a full-scale investigation with subpoena power to figure out how this happened, who knew what, and whether state leadership helped cover it up. Then on the same day, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stepped in and ordered an investigation of his own. He said federal investigators would dig into how, and this is a quote, the feckless mismanagement of the Biden administration and Governor Walz allowed tax dollars to be funneled to Somali terrorists. That's not Fox News saying it. That's the Treasury Department. So here's where it gets even messier. A group claiming to be 500 employees inside Minnesota's Department of Human Services said they warned Walz's administration early on. And guess what? They got punished for speaking up, according to their statement. They say Walz ignored warnings. The governor retaliated against whistleblowers. They claim Walz weakened oversight safeguards and that his agencies knowingly allowed the money to flow. Did not slow them down. That whistleblower account was mysteriously suspended from X on Monday. Now, how'd that happen? In the middle of all this, what was Governor Walz doing on TV this weekend? Well, he was attacking President Donald Trump, you may recall. We talked about this in yesterday's show, saying that President Trump knows more about corruption than anyone, trying to spin this as just fraud, not corruption. Folks, $1 billion stolen, federal judges warning the state, whistleblowers being silenced, terrorists being paid. You tell me what that sounds like. How does that happen and a state government doesn't know what's going on? Either way you look at it, it's negligence, isn't it? Either way. Because if they truly were that stupid and didn't realize this was happening, shame on them. They still should be punished. But if they knew it was happening and they just looked the other way or maybe even helped, that's criminal. And they all should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And anybody who looked the other way, even if he is the governor, should be held accountable. And I got a feeling that's probably what's going to happen. Now, whether Governor Tim Walz ends up having charges brought against him, I don't know. But with the fact that what did I say earlier, 70 plus people have already been accused, have already been charged, 59 already convicted, I think that number is probably going to grow because it takes a lot of people in on a deal like this to allow it to happen. Governor Walz, after being told about suspicious activity, later gave an outstanding refugee award to a leader from another nonprofit implicated in the scheme. So he gave him an award. This guy, he gets an outstanding refugee award, and he's over there stealing federal dollars. And the governor pats him on the back and gives him a plaque. Again, you can't make this stuff up. And I'm pretty creative, but I couldn't make this stuff up. This has become a national story literally almost overnight, and not just a Minnesota scandal. You've got the House Oversight Committee. You've got the U.S. Treasury Department. Dozens of federal convictions already, possible terrorist financing, whistleblower retaliation claims, and a sitting governor running for re-election while trying to explain why he didn't stop $1 billion fraud. It's going to take somebody pretty creative to explain that one, right? And folks, I don't think this story is going away. And if the investigations confirm what whistleblowers are alleging, we may be looking at one of the biggest government oversight failures of the entire COVID era and a political scandal that could haunt Minnesota Democrats all the way into 2026. But that's just one story out of Minnesota. There's another one as well. A judge in Minnesota is facing heat after she overturned a guilty verdict for an individual convicted in a $7.2 million fraud scheme that involved, guess what, taxpayer money again. Adifa Yusuf, and I may not be saying that name right, and his wife, Lul Ahmed, were charged in June 2024 after they were accused of stealing $7.2 million from the state's Medicaid program while running a home health care business that lacked an office building and operated for years out of a mailbox. This is according to the Minnesota Attorney General's office. Prosecutors said that Mr. Yusuf received Medicaid money for services that weren't provided and overbilled for services that did not have documentation. Yusuf allegedly used the money to fund a lavish lifestyle that included shopping sprees at luxury clothing stores like Coach, Canada Goose, Michael Kors, Third Degree Heat, Nike, Nordstrom, and the list goes on. He directed over $1 million from the business account to his personal account and also withdrew over $380,000 in cash, according to the Attorney General's office. Now, Yusuf was found guilty of 6 counts of fraud, of aiding and abetting theft by swindle, which is over $35,000, in August by a jury of his peers. The decision this week was overturned by Judge Sarah West. West wrote in her decision that the case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, adding that the state did not rule out other potential reasonable references. The judge added she was, however, troubled by the manner in which fraud was able to be perpetuated at Promise Health. Now, Minnesota Representative Kristen Robbins said she was shocked upon hearing the guilty verdict was overturned. Members of the jury all also talking to the media saying that they were shocked. The judge seemed to suggest that the jury had a hard time coming up with this decision. The jury, on the other hand, and 3 members have been outspoken so far, said absolutely not, that it was a slam dunk case, that the prosecution had very clearly and simply explained their case to the point that there was very little deliberation, that they knew going into this guy was guilty. And this judge, for whatever reason, and we don't know yet, we don't have the speculation of what, this just happened, she turns him loose. $7.2 million in fraud gone. Poof. And he faces no consequences whatsoever because of some activist judge. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. We're just kind of getting settled in from the Thanksgiving holiday. It takes a few days after a long weekend like that. But Christmas is just around the corner. And if you're traveling, you better have your real ID. We've been told for several years now to get the real ID. Still, evidently, people haven't gotten that. And it's real simple to do. I got mine a year or so ago. Let's talk a minute about this new TSA policy. Actually, it's not new. It was passed a few years ago. It's just been delayed as far as enforcement. But you're in for a surprise now if you walk into the airport without a real ID. A whole lot of people are shaking their heads, probably double checking their wallets before the next trip to GSP or to Charlotte or Atlanta, wherever you fly out of. Because starting February the 1st, 2026, if you stroll up to a TSA checkpoint without an acceptable form of ID, a real ID, or a passport, you can still have your passport, or military ID, the government is going to hit you with a brand new fee. It's non-refundable. It's $45, no exceptions. No guarantees you'll even get to fly with that, though. Only Washington could dream up a system where you pay nearly $50 for the privilege of maybe being allowed to board the plane that you've already bought the ticket for. Here's a story. Comes straight out of the Federal Register. It was buried in a proposed rule that originally put the fee at about $18. But surprise, surprise, there's a new technology fee. There's an operational cost fee because they say that these ran higher than expected. Because when does the government ever underestimate a cost? Now, here's how it's going to work. If you forget your ID, your real ID, or say you misplaced it or your wallet's gotten stolen, TSA is going to pull you out of the line, direct you to an online portal, and you'll have to go through an identity verification process. It'll cost you $45 up front, and they're estimating 10 to 15 minutes. But even TSA admits it may take 30 minutes or more. And if they still can't confirm that you are who you say you are, you're not going to fly, and you don't get your money back. They compare the process to protecting us from terrorists, criminals, illegal aliens. That's a quote from TSA's Adam Stahl. And look, tightening up security is one thing, and I'm all for that. We want to be safe. But charging Americans nearly $50 because the agency can't figure out how to manage identification any other way? That's a little something entirely, don't you think? Let's be honest here. 94% of travelers already show up with an acceptable ID. Most people who fly understand you got to have the real ID now. So this rule isn't about protecting the skies. This is about getting that money out of your pocket, revenue, wrapped in a bow of security. And think about what else is happening simultaneously. Apple Wallet now stores digital passports at more than 250 U.S. airports. Airlines are being asked to promote the program during booking. And Real ID enforcement is finally kicking in after about 2 decades of delays. Folks, we're slowly drifting toward a system where if your phone dies or your digital wallet glitches, you're not just going to miss your flight. You're going to have to pay for the privilege. You're going to have to pony up that $45. Makes me nervous going to the airport with my with just my phone and my digital boarding pass. I always at the gate when I'm checking in, I always have one printed because I want to hold it in my hand. So in case my phone battery does die, or maybe the phone just glitches, I want to have a backup, and I want that paper copy. What about you? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. But here's the irony, though, back on the story. The irony is the TSA is the same agency that people love to hate. Now, they're not paid a lot of money, and they work hard, and they try to be the best they can be. And there's some folks at GSP, at TSA, that are very kind to me. They're listeners, and they always say hello when I go through. But there's also some folks at TSA and other primarily major city airports who just have bad attitudes. You can't be nice to them because they're certainly not going to be nice to you. These are the same people who have missed weapons in test screenings, who struggle with staffing primarily because they're not paid a lot. And they still haven't figured out how to keep lines shorter than a Disney ride. Disney has Fast Pass or whatever it's called. But now they're suddenly mastered digital identity verification and premium price paperwork. That $45. Wonder how much money they'll get this first year of this going into effect. So here's my advice for you. If you are traveling anytime soon, and if you're planning to travel over Christmas, double check your ID before you leave home. Check it right now. And if it's not a real ID, scurry on over to the motor vehicle department and get your real ID. Yes, it's going to take you a few minutes. You're going to have to wait in line, but you need to just have that real ID. Stop putting it off. Check your spouse's ID if she's traveling or he's traveling with you. Make sure they have a real ID. If they don't, when you go get yours, take them with you. Check your kids' IDs if they're old enough to have an ID. And for heaven's sakes, charge your phone and take a charging cable with you in case you have to charge it in the airport. Because the last thing any of us need is another day or another way for the federal government to reach into our pockets, especially right now with inflation and taxes and all the fees, the nickel and diming that's baked into everything from shipping packages to renting a car. You're dollared to death. It's one more example, and there's a long list of examples of how disconnected federal agencies have become from real people and real life, from you and me. They have no clue of what that $45 could mean to somebody. That $45 going on a trip may mean a meal for a family. Instead of making travel easier, safer, more efficient, they found a way to monetize forgetfulness. Or maybe you're busy with life, working, raising your family, and you just forget to get your real ID. You show up at the airport, you're going to pay for it, though. And trust me, if there's one thing the government is good at, it's turning a temporary fee, because they're claiming this is temporary. Have you ever heard of a temporary fee with the government? They always become permanent revenue at some point, because it's like crack cocaine. They can't turn it off. Once they get accustomed to collecting it, they can't do without it. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. I'm back again tomorrow for your first cup of coffee at 5 a.m. for more of Sunrise Carolina. Till then, folks, remember, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to Except the man just keeps proving the opposite. He keeps coming back stronger than ever. And that's why you saw Leavitt come out swinging yesterday. She knows this is how it starts, with a whisper campaign dressed up as journalism, as an investigative reporter. Oh, gosh, we're going to uncover this. We got a man who's dangerous. He's not well. He's not healthy, and he's the leader of the free world. We got to do something about this, folks. Yet they just turned a blind eye to Joe Biden, who really was all of that. And if the White House doesn't push back early, it becomes a storyline for the next 6 months or a year or maybe 3 years. So, folks, we're going to watch this one. It's not about age. It's not about narrative warfare. This administration is refusing to play defense, and Karoline Leavitt went on offense yesterday. And I'm going to say, the points go to the Trump team. Now, we'll see what the media comes out with next, but Karoline Leavitt won that one. Everyone says they'll start after the holidays, and that's exactly why most people never tackle those extra pounds at all. Joey Hudson here. Right now, PhD Weight Loss is making it easy to